Okay, I'm going to try to show how to get LXC going. I don't know if I have it installed, so well, I guess I do. Okay, I don't think I've set it up. Okay, there we go. LXC.service. I'm going to enable it, but I'm going to edit the conf file. They have this LXC BR0 in there by default, and I also have KVM going, and KVM uses a bridge device that it creates ver BR0, and it uses private networking. I have not set up a bridge on this system. If I had a bridge, then I could do public IPs and stuff, but on my virtual machines. But I'm just going with the libvirt default for KVM or ver BR0, and you can use the same bridge for LXC. So I'm going to change the default in there to match the bridge that KVM provides, and then it'll just work. Okay. And libvirt provides a local DHCP server and can give your virtual machines and your containers IP addresses just automatically. You don't have to worry about configuring network. Okay, so let me start that service that I enabled. And now it's running. It doesn't really do anything much that I know of. But now I'm going to create my first container. You can say LXC ls and give it the -f for fancy. And I don't have any containers right now. So I'm going to say LXC create. And the template I'm going to use, if you specify like Fedora for your template, what it will do is it'll download a bunch of packages and build an OS template for you and then use that OS template. So it's kind of a long drawn out process as it has to figure out what packages to download, has to download them all, has to install them into a chroot environment, and then has to tar-gz that up to become an OS template. But once you've created an OS template, you can use it a lot faster. But if you use download as your OS template type, they have a repository that they provide that has OS templates already built, and it'll just download them and use those. And you got to give it a name, so I'm going to say this is Fedora 26. This worked on my laptop. What am I doing wrong? -t template. There may be some additional LX. Oh, I know what it is. I have very few LXC related packages installed. Let's see what I have. Go RPM, it's your birthday. I think there's an LXC -templates package that I need to install. Okay. Maybe make the font on this a little bigger so it's easier to see in the video. Yep, there it is. You can see it's a really tiny package because it just defines what makes up the various distributions and where it can find templates and template data and metadata so it can build OS templates. I haven't really tried to build any OS templates from scratch except for Fedora. For Debian, I think it's got like a Deb, what is it called? Deb Bootstrap or something, and it downloads Deb files and installs them. And it can be an OS template too, I believe. Okay. But anyway, let's see what that package says it is. Oops. Linux resource containers provide process and resource isolation without the overhead of full virtualization. LXC templates package contains templates for creating containers. Okay, now let's try that. There we go. Yay! Now it's going to work. It's going to spit out a big list of all the OS templates that it has, and it has a lot of them for different architectures. Of course, you could not run a foreign architecture on your host. You have to run one that matches the same host. So all these other CPU ones are only good on those machines running that architecture. You can see they've got Alpine, Arch Linux just as current, CentOS 6 and 7, Debian in 5 different releases. One of them is their development release. Fedora 24, which is into life, 25 and 26, Gentoo, OpenSUSE, Oracle, which is another RHEL clone, Plamo, which I think is Japanese or Chinese. I just remember it was a different language. So it wasn't that interesting to me because I don't speak anything but English. And then they have several versions of Ubuntu, including their development release. So I'm just going to type in Fedora, and then it wants to know the release, and then it wants to know the architecture. And they call all 64-bit stuff AMD 64, whereas Fedora itself calls it x86_64. But I believe Canonical is the one who provides all these OS templates, and they prefer AMD 64. So. And then it has to download, if you haven't previously downloaded it, the root file system, which is just a big tar.gzip file. So it's fairly compressed. I think the download of this will be about 60 megabytes or something. And then once it extracts it to make a container out of it, I think it's like 300 megabytes or something like that. We can look at the specifics maybe if I get around to it. But I've got enough to show off in this video that I'll just keep going. Now downloading this usually takes a couple minutes, so I will probably pause the recording and come back. Okay, it downloaded it. Downloaded the metadata. The image cache is now ready. Unpacking the root file system. You just created a Fedora container to enable SSHD, run DNF, install OpenSSH server. So these things are very minimal. For security reason, container images ship without user passwords and without a root password. So you can use LXC attach, or you could chroot into where it extracted everything to and run the password command instead of password. So I'm going to just start it up, and it's if we say LXC ls-fancy again, now you can see I have a container and it is listed as stopped. So let's start it up. And you always have to give -n name. And it'll take it a few seconds to start up before it's got all the processes running. So we can say LXC-attach-in Fedora 26. And now we're inside of our container. If we do a df-h, you can see it sees the entire disk that I have, SDA. That's showing all my space on the host. If I do free-m, it shows all the RAM that I have on my host. And it shows all the CPUs, and I don't know of any way to restrict those. In any event, so I'll run top. There's not much here. I would run PS3, but they don't have PS3 installed. You can see they just have some Gettys running, and you can attach to the Gettys like they were a local console if you wanted to. You run the LXC-console command rather than LXC attach, and you get a login prompt, and you can log in. The LXC-attach just lets you in as root and without any kind of authentication. Of course, you have to be root on the system, I think, to do that. Anyway, let's install some stuff like DNF one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my local repositories. Well, let me download a few things first. Once I get my local repository set up on this container, I can install stuff way faster. This is pulling stuff over the internet, and it seems to be a little slow at work today. I don't know why. Wow, I'm 10 minutes into this video already. I don't feel like I've gotten very much accomplished. Okay, keep going. It's your birthday. I think I'll pause this and come back when I've got my local repository set up. Okay, I got my local repository set up, so I'm going to install some really basic things that I like. I think that's about it. I'll be installing a lot of stuff because I'm going to make a GUI container, install X2Go server on it, and connect to it. Hopefully it'll work. Okay. You can see it's much faster now that I've got my local LAN-based repository set up. And now I'll be able to do PS-Tree with that installed. So you can see what's running. Okay. So that's 710 packages, 747 megabytes. It's going to be installed. It's going to take up 2.1 gigs. I will just pause the video. Even though this is downloading going pretty fast, it's still going to take a few minutes. So I'm going to pause the video and come back when it's done. Okay, I'm glad I paused the recording because that did take a few minutes. Now, do I have man pages? Yes, I do. So I'm going to get tmux going here. Okay, now I'm going to install all the desktop applications I like. Firefox, GIMP, Inkscape, LibreOffice Writer, LibreOffice Calc, LibreOffice Impress, X2Go Server. I think that's about all I need. Phone is not for me. Again, that's going to take, actually that's not a whole lot of packages. So, one thing to mention, when I did that big install, it did drag in a kernel package as a dependency. And part of that is it tries to install grub on the boot partition. Well, we're in a container. It's not using a physical disk. So you will see some errors during the package installation, but they won't keep it from going or finishing, and it'll still just work. So don't worry about those errors. Almost all the errors you might see doing package operations are innocuous. Okay, I'll just keep it recording and let it finish this. I did install OpenSSH, right? Server? Oh, I might still need to do that. I also have the RPM Fusion repository set up, and I'm going to install some packages that will make MPEG-4 video work in Firefox. Although if you're just using YouTube, the vast majority of the content provided on there will do WebM just fine and automatically just work without any RPM Fusion packages. Okay, come on, you can do it. See how long it takes to install GIMP and Inkscape on Windows. It takes quite a while, and so on Linux it's way faster. Okay. Now with the tmux going, you've got the clock in the bottom right. I don't have the time zone set right, so I guess it's just showing UTC, so we'll fix that. We'll go ahead and open up a new tab. So our clock should change because it is 3:59 here. Okay. Oh, okay, I've got it installed. Installing all those GUI packages also sets up a lot of services that you don't really care about in a container. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and disable some of that stuff. Reduce my font for just a second, and I'll make it normal here in a minute. There we go. Stuff I don't care about. Abahi, Bluetooth. I'm not going to be doing any printing. Modem manager. DM, I think that's related to like RAID or something. DNF, make cache gets in my way because I want to run my package manager and have it work without it telling me some other thing has the package database tied up. I'm not using LVM. MD monitor, again, that has to do with multiple disks. RAID, I believe. Modem manager. Multipath B, again, multiple disks. Our syslog, we're just going to stick with journal D. I don't need to run smart D in my container. Norris is a KVM virtual machine, so I can turn off Spice. I don't need that. And I don't need that. Or that. Okay. Let's turn on SHD. Oh, is it running? Oh, let me make the font big again. No, it isn't. Oh, yeah, there it is right there at the bottom. I think I messed up my session there. Okay, so, so next to go's running. I think I'm all set up and ready to go. Make sure my firewall will let SSH. Oh, I guess it's not running, so I don't have any firewall blocking anything. Which on a container on the same system you're on, it should work fine. So I'm going to. Oh, what is the IP address? IP address is 192.168.122.106. I'm going to run X to go client. going to make a new session. Make sure I pick XFCE for my session type. I'm going to make it LAN speed, and I'm going to make it 1280 by 720. Of course, with X to go, you can resize it all you want to. And this, the sound is already turned on, so we'll say OK. Oh, I need to create a user, duh. I'm going to add my user to the wheel group so I can sudo. Okay, now that my user exists, let me connect. Accept the fingerprint for the first time. Oh, I guess I've run into this IP address before, so I have to tell it to override that and accept the new key. I make containers and VMs all the time, and I've got a lot of junk in my SSH known hosts. Okay, let me resize this window so it'll fit the recording area perfectly, hopefully. So here we are, XFCE. Here's the changes I make to XFCE. Oh, do I have the whisker menu installed? No, I don't. And I love that thing. I hate the default menu with the hierarchical. I like the whisker menu. Okay, so there it is right there. I'm going to add that. Sometimes it takes it a few seconds to show up. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. I'll show you how I like to configure XFCE. Sometimes when you drag and drop, it doesn't. I think I dropped it right on top of something. Okay. In any event, there we go. Come on. There we go. I don't care for the second panel, so I'm going to get rid of it. And I'm going to unlock the first panel and move it to the bottom. Then lock it back, and I'm going to make it 36. And I'm going to edit the icon and a few other details. This is Fedora, so I want the Fedora logo there. There we go. I like my search menu thing at the bottom. So there we go. Pretty nice. I'm going to get rid of the defaults because they're not very descriptive. They use the generic names. I'm going to add in what I want. XFCE terminal. Firefox. Dunar, the file manager. GIMP, Inkscape, Writer, Calc, and Impress. Oops, I accidentally launched it. Oops. Cancel. Go away. So I got all my favorites added now, and I usually like to resize this menu a little bit. We'll just leave it at that for the recording, so hopefully you can see it pretty good. But I do like this, and I think it's better for recordings as well. I thought I got rid of that, but I guess not. Okay. So, I'm going to customize my desktop a little bit. I don't like the icons on the desktop, so I always just turn those off. I don't use removable media in a container anyway. My file manager, I like text detailed view instead of icons by default. Preferred applications, I'm going to stick Firefox there, and the other ones are just fine. Screensaver, you want to turn it off in your container usually because you're not going to use a screensaver or lock the screen. Window manager, there's one thing here. I don't like wrapping when I move my windows from one place to another. I like the snapping. So there's a couple of settings that messes it up. Cycle through windows, that's so you can alt-tab through those pretty easily and you get a nice list. And then here are the other two things that make the windows wrap from one virtual desktop to another that I don't want. I want snapping. And then I usually edit the startup stuff to get rid of all the junk I don't care about. I won't be managing the network. Oops, that finally showed up. Okay. I don't care about power management shown in there. Not the screensaver, not Spice, not VMware, not Blueberry. And I guess I'm cool with all the rest of that stuff. And that's about it. Oh yeah, I always right click here and say properties and show windows from all workspaces or viewpoints so that all show up and I don't have to switch to it just to have it show up on the panel. So I'm about done now. So now I can snap pretty easily. You know, I don't have to worry about hitting the edge and having it run over to the next desktop. So I'm going to also open Firefox and we'll go to YouTube and I'll show you how well that works. Hopefully, I don't know if it'll record the video, but the audio will come out my speakers so that the microphone I'm using will pick up the audio. It seems to be a little picky for some reason. I generally don't have a problem, so there's no audio. So you can see the volume control works inside the container too. And what this is, I have no idea. Let's make it full screen. Wow, is this a music video? Is there going to be any talking? So we can check out.
What is this place? Who are you people?
We are the bridge to a greater understanding.
Just to show the AV sync is good.
What is your mission?
Well, here's the thing. You are in more danger than you think. The boys in the trenches called her Dr. Poison. Millions would die. The war would never end.
I'm going, Mother.
But who?
You will soon find out.
Anyway, you can see video works fairly well. And it will be a little choppier because I'm recording this. Okay, enough of that. General web browser scrolling. It's pretty good. Wow, the ad stays at the top. Let's go add in some stuff that I like. Okay, let's load this page again. There, that's a lot better. Now we can actually see the scrolling without something messing it up, and it scrolls just fine. Wheelie mouse. MP4 video sample. Let's see if we can find an MPEG-4 video to make sure that I got that working. Not much of a video, but you get it, that I got it working. Okay, anything else you need to see? I don't think GLX gears will work, but we'll try it. Hey, it does work. How about that? Inside my GUI container. I don't know if I'd want it to play video games. Let's see how well this works. I'm thinking this probably won't even run, but what the heck. Because X2Go does not provide a full X11 accelerated experience. It doesn't do 3D very well. I'm going to quit being root. I guess I can just run it from my menu. Should be in games. Here we go, the only game I have. And it does look like it's going to come up. So I think it's because of the lack of 3D support. Yeah. What else can I run? Let's try... oops, I guess I gotta install it. That's gonna take a while because it's got to install a bunch of KDE dependencies, so I will pause the video for that. Okay, now let's run that. And I like this game. But I can't send the default tile set, and since I don't have the full KDE, it looks like some of the widgets in there might not go well. Board layout, random. Okay. Let's see how well I am on my game today. Well, anyway, you get the idea. This is not an easy layout either. Well, you don't want to watch me play this. Anyway, you see that it works fairly well. Let's see how good windows moving around are. You see it's pretty fast, super fast really. Let's try a standalone video player. And where are we going to get a video? I didn't add YouTube to my searches when I was there last, but this will work.
Hi, I'm Kumail Nanjiani.
And I'm Ray Romano.
We star in a movie called...
Okay.
I'm Ray Romano.
We star in a movie called The Big Sick that you're about to watch a trailer for.
Yeah, it's great. It's about a fraternity that throws the best parties. I'm the king of the frat, and I party so hard. I party the hardest.
Yeah, none of that's true.
You don't know how.
Can you imagine a world in which we end up together?
I don't know. I'm looking for Emily Gardner. She was checked in tonight.
There's an infection. We put her in a medically induced coma.
Coma.
You should call her family.
Thank you. Come on. We're gonna handle things from here.
I think I'm just gonna wait anyway.
You guys broke up. I'm not.
Okay. Thanks for watching. I think it works pretty well, huh?